In other continents, Iran has vowed to respond to recent U.S. airstrikes on 3 of its nuclear sites, with President Masoud Pezeshkian stating that the United States must receive a response for the aggression. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump claims the strikes took the bomb right out of their hands, emphasizing the goal was to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, not regime change. The UN's nuclear watchdog said it cannot yet assess the damage at the underground Fordo facility. And now, joining us on the news to discuss this development, I have Professor Mukesh Kapila from the University of Manchester, and he joins me from Geneva in Switzerland. Thank you so much, Professor Mukesh.
Glad to join you.
And I also have Ejike Okpa, who is a global affairs analyst, and he joins me from Texas in US. Thank you so much, Mr. Okpa, for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I start with Professor Kapila. Now, what are the key indicators to even assess the damage at Iran's Fordo facility after the strikes?
I think that the key result that the Americans and the Israelis were seeking was to destroy the centrifuges which are concentrating the uranium, which Iran is said to have been stockpiling in preparation for making its nuclear weapons. So the indicator for success is whether or not the centrifuges have been permanently damaged and beyond repair and beyond resumption of purification of the uranium.
All right, now, Ejike, what might Iran do next after saying it could respond in different ways to the attacks orchestrated by the U.S.?
I mean, Iran will do what Iran has always done. You know, they're gonna. I mean, they cannot militarily respond to what America has done. They're gonna have their own sympathizers or surrogates who's gonna try to inflict some damage on American facilities. But Iran cannot bring any weapon system, none of those into America. So, you know, we wait to see how much damage has been afflicted, and then how they respond. It is very unfortunate that in a situation like this, you know, they didn't go to the way of diplomatic route to see how they can resolve this. This is a case of, you know, going into a war with a bow and arrow. I don't care how sophisticated the Iranian nuclear system is, they can't stand up to that of America if push comes to shove. So, you know, we'll see in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, you know, the assessment and then what Iran is going to do. But it tells you something. Their defenses were very crippled because, you know, how come they didn't even see this fly into their airspace and do what they did?
Well, a lot of people are actually concerned about even the human casualties in the Middle East. So, Professor Mukesh, now, how does the fighting between Iran and Israel make the situation in the Middle East more dangerous, most especially now that even U.S. has actively waded in?
Well, I think obviously it has escalated the situation and tensions in the Middle East. That's beyond doubt. But it has also sent a warning to other parties, and that includes Iran's proxies, with whom Israel has been struggling for some time, and also to other Gulf countries that the US and Israel are not to mess around with. So we don't know what will happen, but paradoxically, it may actually calm the situation down, though that's not what everyone is commentating at the present time. But I'm optimistic that the situation will calm down simply by the warning that the US has sent. You don't mess with the US or Israel.
Now, Ejike, there's Lebanon, there's Syria, there is Iraq, and I know that a couple of days ago, the Russian president said U.S. should not actively be part of this Iran-U.S. crisis. Now that it has happened, what do you think the aftermath would be? Because the question is, shouldn't Israel and shouldn't U.S. have even taken the caution not to actually respond in this conflict?
No, your question is very interesting, but the point is it has happened. Obviously, U.S. didn't pay attention to what Putin is saying because Putin has his own hands full with what's going on with Ukraine. So again, the point is we're going to wait for the next, the days after, just always this aftermath, what's going to happen. This is supposed to be a deterrent. This is supposed to send a signal, to Iranian allies and then Iranian sympathizers. It is time for a new sort of understanding. It's a time for a new sort of, negotiation. If you want to come to the table sincerely, and Israel wants to do that. When another country says, "Hey, we're going to wipe you out," what do you think they're going to do? That country has to defend itself, and that country may also get their own supporters to do something on their behalf. I don't know whether America did this on behalf of Israel or America just did it because, Trump has said, hey, everybody in Tehran, you're going to have to do what? Evacuate. It is very, very unfortunate because people in Iran are suffering and all they're doing is concentrating on building nuclear power. Why don't you take care of yourself? Why don't you deploy that resource you have and at least stabilize your own country as opposed to exposing them to the danger? Now, who knows where Ayatollah Khamenei is, whether he's in a bunker, whether he's even in the country, but it's the average Iranian that are suffering, not him. So, I don't think anybody can bring war into America. Of course, they're going to try to do what they do, attack American facilities anywhere they go. They can. Iran say they're going to block the Strait of Hormuz about the oil, so that they won't export oil. That's not going to happen. If they try that, they're going to be hit again so hard they wouldn't know what hit them. Like we say in America, they wouldn't know what hit them. So I think if they take this as a deterrent, they can come to the table gracefully and diplomatically and say, hey, okay, how do we resolve this going forward?
Now, Professor Mukesh, Russia has over 4,000 nuclear warheads. U.S. has about 3,700 nuclear arsenal. Between U.S. and Israel, it's about 950 nuclear arsenal. But then they are trying to force Iran to come to the table. Does it reek of hypocrisy?
Well, to be honest, the numbers look impressive and one-sided, but even one nuclear weapon would wreak huge damage. One modern nuclear weapon would result in at least 600,000 casualties and million deaths and millions otherwise affected. So it doesn't really matter how many missiles any side has. Even one would be too much. So in that sense, yes, there is hypocrisy, but then there's hypocrisy on all sides, Russian side, with what they're doing in Ukraine and the alliance between Iran and Russia, and of course the American and Israeli alliance. So, yep, but nobody has a monopoly on that hypocrisy, not any side.
Thank you so much, Professor Mukesh Kapila, and of course, Ejike Okpa, for sharing your thoughts with us on the news.
Thank you.
Thank you.